For the past 3.5 years, I've had the privilege of being the president of PGCEA. Thank you very much. That's okay, I'll take that one little clap. Before we get started, I'd like to add to your agenda, please. I'd like to add Erica Chavarria. Am I saying that right? I'm saying it right, aren't I? How do you say it?
Make sure I'm not in
Chavarria, I'm sorry. And she's bringing us an NEA director report. Okay, so here's what we've got going on here, people. I'm not done yet. Here's what we have going on here, people. We got people trying to get food. I got people trying to get shirts. But we have business that we need to do. And I understand that everybody is, doing the best that they can under this circumstance. But we do have a lot of work that we have to do as an association and as building reps today. And I got some really, really, really good news I want to share with you. So I want to get to all of it. I also have, under appearances, I also have, I don't know why there's an E update there. E should be Erica. And F is Doug Prouty. And G will be Teresa Dublin, candidate NEA director. I will turn over the microphone to our vice president. I don't know why I'll entertain a moment. No, my mouth just went crazy for a second. I will entertain a motion to accept the agenda with flexibility. Sorry, Flynn, can you go to the microphone and do that for me, please?
Eric Lynn Mount Rainier, I move that we accept this agenda with flexibility.
Donna Christie, Board of Directors, I second.
Okay, seeing no one raising their hands, all in favor say aye. Raise your voting cards, raise your voting cards. All opposed? Okay, I'll go slow on those votes if you have any votes because I know you're eating, and I just wanted to say that the reason why we have the tables out is because it used to make me mad when I was a building rep when they would give me food and I would spill it in my lap. So that's why we're at the tables now. Before we begin our meeting today, I would like to take a moment, just a moment, and I'd like to get the January 28, 2019 minutes approved.
I would like to move approval of the minutes.
For January 28th?
Yes, for January 28th.
Second, moved by Michelle Clark, second by Annette Jones. Everybody in favor, hold up your voting cards. All opposed? Okay. So, the first thing, before we have the NECC come up and give us a report, Miss Massey, are you hearing me? Okay. I'd like to share some news with you. No, I'm not going to be a mommy. However, one of our PGCEA icons has passed away. Our former NECC chair, Ruby Macon, passed away last week. Memorial services for her work today. And many of us worked with Ruby, fought with Ruby, worked with Ruby, fought with Ruby. But one thing was for sure, she was committed to PGCEA. So I'd like to have a moment of silence in honor of Ruby Macon. Thank you very much, I appreciate your respect. Okay, NECC, are you ready? Come on. So, as you know, our elections were completed, a week and a half ago, and so we have a report from, you can come up here, from our NECC. The general election. Just a little more. Okay, so while we're waiting on the internet. Call you your own. Okay, so while I'm waiting for it to pull up, our report is in the back, you can grab a copy. I'm sorry, I have a migraine, so I'm sorry. So the report's in the back, the elections closed February, oh, no, I'm out of it. So Stephanie Massey, Vice Chair, NECC, okay? The elections closed on February 15th. We certified it on February the 21st. The voter turnout was very, very low. We were hoping that the FAC would, you know, go and really promote people to go and remind them to vote in the buildings, okay? And obviously that was not done because the number of people who actually voted was very low. We will be getting a report out to the chairs of the FACs so they know how many people in the building voted. Okay, so here we go. So we had 4 seats for the board of directors, and those that the 4 people that won for the board of directors was Michelle Clark, Albert Barnes, Dr. Susan Windsor, and Annette Jones. Okay. Okay. We're going to also to post on the website the rest of the results. So stay tuned for that, and we need to find out exactly when that will be up, but they are working on that. Okay. Oh, we also need the expense reports for the people who were running for board of directors. We've only received 1. Okay, so we need to get those expense reports. And again, everything else is on the report in the back. Our website, our email address is also at the bottom if you have any questions or concerns. Okay, thank you. Yes. Oh, what? Oh.
see me now?
Yes.
Okay, we've got microphone one.
Good evening, everyone. Microphone 2, it's not working.
Microphone two.
There it goes. Good evening, everyone. As you know, the MSCA and PGCEA elections ran concurrently. And what is happening now is that there is a three-way tie for the position that I was running for NEA director. So what I am asking for is for the support of PGCEA for me to be an NEA director. An NEA director's job is to serve on the MSCA Board of Directors representing the state of Maryland. The job also entails attending NEA board meetings, NEA reps, NEA directors meetings, which are NEA's version of rep council. The reason why I'm running and why I have run several times is that Prince George's County has never had an NEA director. We've been trying to look back in history. I've been calling all the old presidents, and nobody believes that there has ever been an NEA director from Prince George's County. Why is that important? Gary served as an NEA director when he was the president of Frederick. And what it does is it allows us to have insight into what's coming down the pike at NEA. So when it comes to grants, when it comes to special programming, when it comes for how our UNISERV grants are dispersed across the country, when it comes to political decisions that will affect who we would endorse as NEA, that would put me in that room and in that space. And I have worked really hard here at PGCEA to make sure that we have been a voice in Prince George's County. And I will tell you that we are a voice in Prince George's County, and the elected officials are looking at Prince George's County Educators Association in a way that they haven't looked at us in 25 years. So I ask you for your support. Our voter turnout, when you look at the whole state of Maryland, most of the jurisdictions didn't even have a 10% turnout. Prince George's County did. We had one of the highest turnouts in the state. However, it's not enough when we have 9,500 members to only have 1,100 people vote. Okay? This race, I came in third. But I know that if you go back to your buildings and you say to your people, hey, we need to vote, buy some cookies for the people in your building and have them come on down and vote in the cafeteria, in the computer lab. We got computers in the cafeteria, that's okay too. But you know what I meant. And get people to vote, because we really have the power and we're leaving it on the table. Because I need to be in that room with Donna Christie and on the national level as well. So I want to thank you for your prior support. I want to thank you for your support when we go to the elections, because everybody needs to grow and everybody needs to move forward, and this is where I would like to move and serve you in the future. Thank you very much.
Okay, Michelle, you have a motion.
I do. I move that PGCEA votes to support our President, Teresa Dudley, in this runoff election for NEA Director.
Anna Jones, I second. Do we have discussion?
Well,
Yes. Speak to your motion.
yes. Basically, as Teresa just said, we need a seat at the table at the national level. That's one of the reasons I also ran for this position, but I finished 5th and am not in the runoff. So I'm saying we need to take our support and throw it by the only person who represents us, who's still in the running. Both of the other candidates are from Howard County. We need Prince George's County to have the seat at the table. We have strength when we're there, and, thank you, Don, and we can have a voice and we can get grants. It gives us access to so many things that will help us as an organization. That is what they need. That's what we need. I encourage everybody to vote for that endorsement, and I encourage everybody, even though you can vote for 2 people, to make the power of your vote really count and vote for one, and that's Teresa Dudley.
Annette, you want to say something?
Well, yes. You know where Teresa stands. And I also know you know where our heart is. And it's only just that the one candidate we have, we put our strength behind her, put our vote behind her. I would like for you to go back to your building. And everyone in your building, they all have a vote. They are MSCA members, they are NEA members. And you ensure, ask them in a nice way if they will cast their vote. Because when you have someone at the table bargaining on your behalf, someone who you know, someone who knows the ins and outs, someone who is a no-nonsense person, someone who will call it as it is, this is where we need to put our vote. It cannot be business as usual. We have to put a fighter there, and we know that our president is a fighter. So I'm asking you to please go back to your building, and let's be militant, and let's get our votes there behind Teresa. I thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to take 2 more, so don't. Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have somebody speaking against? No. Charles?
I would actually use my time, but I just need everyone to know that this election runoff is from March the 4th to March the 22nd. So it starts on Monday next week, and we want to vote early, not late. So election March 4, it's online, just like it was this last time. Should get your membership number in the mail, I'm assuming. But building reps should have access to their membership numbers as well. So we need to encourage people to vote beginning March 4th.
Thank you for that information.
Cena Whitworth, Board of Directors, Charles Herbert Flowers. I more so want to talk about the numbers of the voting. We really need to get our numbers up when it comes to voting. I feel like if we really want to matter, we really have to come out and push our vote as Prince George's County.
Okay, Zena, I'm going to give you 1 more minute, because you are now the 4th person speaking in favor. So I'm going to be kind to you. You've got 1 minute, go.
I'm encouraging everyone to get out and vote and get out and represent Prince George's County, because numbers do matter. And if we can go back to our buildings and get the numbers up, that is what matters. Let's get our numbers out, let's get our vote up, and let's get somebody from Prince George's County on the Board of Directors, our president. Thanks.
Thank you. You're the 5th person. You have a point of information? No. We have a point of information right here. Proceed.
Point of information, some of the IDs, when they were placed into the process to do the formal election, were not working. Some of my staff members said that they had difficulty even with copying and pasting the number into the system, with their membership numbers not operating. So could we take that information back to the
Okay,
election
so those emails, I understand, came from MSCA. So you would have to call MSCA and make sure that you have the correct number, the correct membership number. I don't know any other way of fixing it. Well, it's on your what? It's on your action line.
Right, so those numbers weren't corresponding, nor were they working. So as a council, could we just bring it to their attention? Thanks.
Just complain to Donna. She's our representative. 30 seconds.
Philomena, one of my emergency school, I'm gonna tell you very quickly why everyone in here and everyone else that you know should vote for Teresa Dudley. On February 1st, when we had one of our teachers videotape our parent against her, not knowing and against her will, or just not knowing about it, not so much against her will. In the snow and in all of that, when schools were closed 2 hours early, Teresa Dudley braved the weather and came to my school where there were 40-something teachers already waiting. I had already just said, you know what, our president would love to come, our UNICEF would love to come, but they can't come because of the weather, and there she walked right in. That's not the only reason why I would support Teresa Dudley as a new Sparks member or a new person in this county. And I look around here, I see new faces. She's pushing people into leadership position. And as she's pushing us, we need to support her. So I am saying to each and every one of you, please go out. I personally went and contacted every member of my school staff to make sure those emails, they got them. And yes, like the gentleman said, some people did not get their emails. They did not even register or have email with PGCEA or MSCA. Please make sure your staff members do get your roster and go out there. I'll buy the candies, but we have to support Teresa Dudley.
Thank you. Okay. Since we have no speakers against, I'm calling the question without objection. Anybody object? No. Good. All those in favor of endorsing Teresa Dudley for NEA Director, please raise your cards. Put them down, please. All those opposed? Any abstentions? That vote passed. We are supporting our President, Teresa Dudley, for NEA Director. Please, and we will report it as unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, so, moving right along. Black Lives Matter, update. I'll just go ahead and, tell you about it, because we're running late. There is a PowerPoint presentation, that I will, put so that if you wanna look at it on the website and see the pictures. How many of you are on Facebook? Okay, how many of you have liked the PGCEA Facebook page? Okay, because there's a lot of things that I put on there. Sometimes I might get tickets to a basketball game, and I'll say the first person to inbox me gets tickets to a basketball game, or a special event is coming up that I can only have a certain amount of people, like a movie screening or something like that. Those things do happen. Please like our Facebook so that you can get notifications when we do postings. And we do have a Twitter, but I don't know what it is. I'm sure Devin will get that for you before we leave out here today. The Black Lives Matter Action Week, I want to thank Isaac Gordine. I want to thank several other schools. How many of your schools did the all-black day on the first day? What school was that? Benjamin Tasker. What school was it? Chapel Forge. What school was that? Wise High School. What school was that? Barack Obama. The Barack Obama Elementary School. And I want to thank all the rest of you that purchased the shirts. We sold out of shirts. As a matter of fact, we have to order some more. And I want to give a special thanks to Keela Foster, who designed the wonderful shirts, because they were very beautiful, and a lot of the elected officials wanted to buy them. I also want to send a shout out to the Friday night poetry slam and art display, folks. There was a teacher at Greenbelt, I want to say her name is Miss Valentine, who brought her students here, and they brought the most beautiful artwork. And I think they must have came and picked it up, but it was a really wonderful, wonderful evening, hearing the students talk about why their Black lives mean so much and how we need to identify with that. It's more than just Black Lives Matter. It's making sure that we have culturally competent curriculum. It's making sure that we get rid of the zero tolerance policies, so that no matter what, if a kid does something, that's an automatic penalty assessed to them. And the last day of the we had What's Black Got to Do with It. We had Dr. Alvin Thornton here, and it was really, there was over 100 people in the room. Senator Joanne Benson was here. We had just people from all over. People came from as far away as Baltimore to hear Dr. Thornton talk about what's Black got to do with it and why we need to pay attention to what's really going on in education. And the most important thing he said, and really turned my paradigm, was when he said, our children are Maryland's children. So that when the Maryland General Assembly says that they don't have enough money to pay for our children, they don't have enough money to pay for Maryland's children, and we know that's a fib, as rich a state as we are. And we can no longer allow them to pit us against Baltimore City and other jurisdictions that have high concentrations of poverty. So I want to thank all of you who worked on the Black Lives Matter in schools. I'm going to skip over the Board of Education budget hearing updates. I'm not going to skip over it. That's important. How many of you know where Board Docs is? Okay, so on the Board of Education website, and my thing's not loading up here. On the Board of Education website, PGCPS website, if you click on where it says Board of Education, it will tell you participate in public hearings. And then you can either email them and participate in a public hearing, or you can call. I usually email, and then I wait for the email. If it doesn't come, I call them. I cannot be the only one showing up at these hearings. On Wednesday night, we have the bargaining for the common good here. But we also have the county executive who's having her budget hearing Wednesday night at 6:30 at Flowers, okay? And the reason why I wasn't really paying that much attention to it, because I knew we had the bargaining for the common good that night as well. So some folks still have to go to the county executive's hearing. Those of you who need to be here for bargaining for the common good, you know who you are. We can do two things. We got 9,400 members, okay? So the Board of Education meets again on the 7th. It's a work session. They're going to be voting on whether or not we have October the 18th of 2019 as a day off. A professional development day. I pushed and pushed and pushed because they were trying to pass the calendar with us not having the 18th. You know what that is? That's the convention. Right. Okay? And if you go to the convention, it's professional development.
Right.
We have a professional development day, that's the 27th of September. All I asked them to do was take the 27th and make it a full day and give us the 18th.
NEA, that means that the executive director position of NEA is now open, not at the current moment, but will be open, so we'll be seeing a transition there. There was a big fear that after the Janus case, that we would be losing membership nationwide. That is not the case. We are actually up membership nationwide. We are up membership in Maryland, and we are up membership nationwide. We think that a lot of that may have to do with the Red for Ed movement and seeing how the strength of the union can get stuff done, even with threats of things like Janus looming over. There are multiple other court cases that are in the works that are Janus-ish. trying to crush union power, but we have a really great attorney at the national level who, Alice O'Brien, who is working very hard to make sure that we are well represented on the national level for that. Because we have a increase in membership nationwide, anytime UNICEF grants for our UNICEF directors are usually based on membership. We were projecting a loss after the first year of Janice, but since we, so that is why the grant money for UNICEF directors decreased a bit. Now, because we have a membership increase, they are projecting, they're still being cautious because we're only in year 1, heading into year 2 of the year after the Janice decision. But it is possible that we'll see about a 7% increase in UNICEF grants. So that's something to keep in mind on a state level when we're looking at making sure that we're well equipped with our UNICEF directors. Couple other things. So there is whenever we arrive in DC, NEA directors, we always lobby our representatives on the state level, in the House and in the Senate. The things that we lobbied on this time, we obviously were lobbying to make sure that there was no government shutdown, but making sure that we were not that we were not sacrificing immigrant families and the border wall in order to keep the government open. So we were there talking about that. There is a House bill that is about background checks to prevent gun violence, pushing for universal background checks. We were lobbying in support of that bill, so that was the other thing we were talking about. There is also a bill called the Rebuild America's School Act, where it would create a $70 billion grant program that would work to rebuild the structure of schools that are at a D+ or lower rating in terms of their actual structure, not in terms of test scores, but mainly more along the lines of structurally. So we were lobbying in support of that. Sarbanes and Hoyer Sarbanes is a co-sponsor of that bill. So we do, anytime we lobby on Capitol Hill, we usually have friendly representatives that are in support, except for one. And the last one is actually a really exciting bill. It is a bill to create a National Education Support Professionals Award. So you know how we have a National Teachers of the Year Award? So this would be a National Education Support Professional Award. So yay for that. It's a bipartisan bill, so we have support both Republicans and Democrats, so we're hoping that that passes as well. Some of the things that we did in our board meeting, there are several board recommended positions of support for some changes. One of them is a disaffiliation amendment that would, it just names a process for associations to disaffiliate from NEA. We don't have anything written right now. It will not impede on a state's process that has already been established. So if a state like us, Maryland, we have a process for disaffiliation for local affiliates, it would not impede upon that process, meaning that the national level would not be saying to a state, this is what you have to do in terms of disaffiliation, but it just puts language in place so that if there is a desire to disaffiliate, that we have a structure in place to do so for that. The second thing that the board recommended a position of support on was this community ally membership category. How many of you were at the RA last year? The NEA RA? Okay. So if you were there, you know that there was a position of support by the board to pass a community ally membership category. This category is for any person, individual, not organization, who wants to be a supportive member of NEA and would be a community ally member. So it's not for a retired member, it's not for anybody who already qualifies for a different membership category. It would be any person who supports public education, is in line with the values of NEA, and wants to be a dues-paying member. As a dues-paying member, these are the three things that they would have access to. The electronic copy of NEA Today, notification and participation in membership activities to build support for public education, like rallies like the March 11th March here in Maryland, the Red for Ed movements, and they would also be granted some member benefits. We have member benefits for our members. They would be granted limited member benefits, not everything that we get as educator members. So there is, last year, there were a lot of questions and concerns about the Community Ally membership. A lot of those questions and concerns have been answered on a frequently asked questions sheet. If you have any questions regarding the Community Membership Ally category, please let me know. I'll also make sure that there's a copy here. But this is something we're going to be voting on as a Maryland caucus at the RA this year. Basically, it's to really, any person who becomes a member, according to this category, who displays any act of opposition to the morals and values of NEA, there is a process to get that person out. That was one of the major concerns, like how are we vetting people, like can Betsy DeVos join? No, Betsy DeVos cannot join because we know that she does not display the values of our education association. So if you have any other questions about that, let me know. If you are planning on going to the NEA-RA and you would like to submit a standing rules or bylaw amendment, those are due by March 4th. So make sure you have that written down. March 4th is the deadline. It is soon. A lot of people get to RA and think they could submit an amendment and don't realize that you can't at that point. So March 4th is for standing rules and bylaw amendments. I'm going to encourage everybody to take a really, really hard look at the budget this year that is being put forth by NEA. We do have a budget committee from the board that drafts the budget. We do know that membership is up. We are not at a loss right now. We planned last year's budget looking forward into a potential dramatic loss of membership because of Janice. I encourage everyone to take a hard look, read the budget. The ethnic minority caucuses of NEA are making sure and working very, very hard to make sure that racial justice initiatives that previously may have been overlooked or cut because of the concerns of the Janice decision on our budget, we're making sure that those programs are not cut. We're making sure that racial justice work is still a priority in the budget and remains a priority and is an even bigger priority in the budget for NEA. So please, please, please don't let these budget forums go by where your voice is not heard. We need to make sure that we have a voice. The first budget forum, it is a virtual budget forum, is on June 18th from 8 to 9 p.m. Please write that down. You can call in, you can ask questions about the budget. Oh, good, put it in the news. We need to make sure that we're not just showing up at NEA-RA and rubber stamping a budget that nobody has taken a look at. The budget is really what moves an association. And if we are ignorant to what the budget is saying and we are not looking for making sure that we're pushing the right things, that's on us, right? Last thing, if you sponsored an NBI at last year's RA and it passed, there is an update. It should have been emailed out to you. If you sponsored an NBI that passed at RA, be on the lookout for an email giving you an update on your NBI. If you have not received that, please let me know. I will take that to the state or to the national level. Also, if you are not comfortable or you are concerned with the response of the update that you have received for your NBI, please let me know because I bring those concerns to the national level as well. And I believe that is all I have for you. If there's any questions?
Yes, so I have two questions.
Sure.
Yvonne Basich. First one, has the NEA Board of Directors discussed Medicare for All? Sarbanes is one of the sponsors of it, and is the board planning to support it, or is that going to come up at the convention?
We are we didn't, it was not one of our lobbying topics. We do realize that there were board members that brought that up as a very important concern that we should be lobbying. Our response was that the regular paid lobbyists of NEA are already doing that work in lobbying for that to happen. It was not something that we voted on, so I would encourage that if you do not feel like you're receiving information, I can tell you that I didn't see that as something that was a topic of discussion to a high degree. We were told that it was a topic that NEA is lobbying on.
Okay.
That
so
we-
I'm not actually understanding
Okay.
what you're saying, but should we, if we want the NEA to support it, should we bring it to the convention?
Absolutely.
Is that what it will take?
Yes.
Or will the board support it?
I can't tell you what the board will or will not support. What I can say is that if it's important to you absolutely, it should be important to all of us. It was brought up by a board member in questioning, so when we get to the board meetings, we're given lobby topics, we don't decide them, right? So they say, this is what you're lobbying on, go. So we have we have a very small time to say, hey, wait a minute, think we should be lobbying on this. Or questions about the topics we're lobbying on. So that question was brought up. What we were told was that the NEA staff who are paid lobbyists are pushing for that to happen. Not that we as NEA directors, it was not on our agenda of lobby topics. So it was brought up, and I would definitely encourage that be a topic brought to the RA.
Okay, thank you. My second point is what you spoke about, this community membership.
Yep.
So we have, I don't know whether it's 2 or 3 times, I'm sure it's at least 2, that the entire convention has voted against it. And voted against it heavily, not just maybe, but a large majority, twice, 2 years in a row, has voted against this. And it seems to me that bringing it up again is only slightly undemocratic. I mean, are you going to keep on changing it until we vote yes? I don't get it. Twice now, the convention as a whole has voted against it. And here we are again.
So what I can tell you is that this membership category was brought to the board. The board did not create it. It was brought to us and said, we're pushing this again. There was a very intense discussion on the floor. We were encouraged to go back to our state affiliates and have conversations about the concerns and bring that back to NEA. There was a lot of work that was put into addressing the concerns that were given to us by states, by members, etc., which is why they came up with this fancy-dancy frequently asked questions sheet to respond to the concerns that were addressing why it didn't pass in the first place. We have people that bring up NBIs 500 times and they always fail. That it is part of the democratic process, you know. So what I can tell you is that the RA will once again decide and take a position, and you can debate on the floor.
All right, last question, Mark and I, we have a lot of work to do.
Quick question. Thank you for being here and thank you for representing the NEA board. Will the NEA board do what they did 4 years ago and endorse a presidential candidate for us without our consent?
That issue has also been raised at board meetings. There are board members who do feel that the process is flawed. We encourage that any attempts to change the process are done so through the RA through standing rules, bylaw changes. Not standing rules, sorry, bylaw changes. And that March 4th is the date to do that. And that we know that after the last endorsement, there was an uproar of concern. Lily is very aware of that. The executive committee is very aware of that. And again, the board is given things, and then we have to make a decision on the spot of what to do. I cannot say yay or nay. What I can tell you is that RA is in the middle of election cycles, so we may not know who's running in July, right? So that to have the RA make that decision. So it's very complicated, but I encourage anyone who has any issue or any critique of the process and the way we endorse, that you take that to the RA floor for a vote. You get people behind you to rally on it, and that you speak to NEA directors when that is submitted to relay that conversation in debate on the floor of the NEA board.
And quick question, how do we contact the bylaws committee? You said by
Mark, I'll
floor.
get you that information so that you're armed and ready from there, okay?
And I'm sorry, very last thing, The Joint Ethnic Caucus, so usually, each, Ethnic Minority Affairs Caucus has a separate meeting, a separate conference. This year, it is a joint conference. All of the, EMAC caucuses are meeting together. I'm gonna leave this here, maybe you can distribute it in the newspaper, but please, it is, June 7th to the 9th. It's in St. Louis, Missouri. Please, please, please try to attend. It's supposed to be absolutely amazing. I will be there. I'm excited. Please come. And that's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I wasn't trying to be mean to our vice president, but she needed that. Okay, so we are now down to our treasurer's report. Donna Christie. Yay, Donna.
Okay, you have the written report. Oh, look, there it is. So for committee chairs and committee members that are in the room, please take a look at your current actual and remaining budgets. If you have any questions, if you feel like maybe that number is wrong, we're going through a process where we've been changing the budget, like fixing line items and changing things. So it could possibly be something was like charged to your committee that shouldn't have been. So if you have any question or any reason to believe that that number is wrong, please email me so that I can sit down with the accountant and look at your account and see what has been, and research it. Okay? And you'll notice that 2 committees appear to be over budget. We are researching that to see if there are some things that should have been, probably should have gone to a grant instead of to the budget. So hopefully we will have that worked out. Right, because we're transitioning our accounting system. So, everything else though, we're pretty good on track in terms of our expenditures for the year. We are working on developing an investment policy. We have a good amount of money in reserves, but it's just kind of sitting in accounts that aren't earning anything. So we want to be a little bit more, do a little bit more. Our goal is to get that up to having a reserve of $4 million. Because what that does is that gives us 2 years of operating budget in reserves. Because right now, if we were to do a job action, such as a strike, we would be decertified. We would lose our ability to collect dues for 2 years. And so if we were to have $4 million in operating budget in the bank, we would be strike ready. Does that make sense? Okay, so that is the goal. And we're working on developing a investment policy to govern how we do those investments. And then we're putting out a request for proposals for investment advisor groups. The audit is almost done. They're in the final stages. The budget process at the March board meeting, the board will receive the draft so that they have 1 month to review it and consider it, so that at their April board meeting, they are prepared to take any action they want to do to amend the budget. And so that then it can come to the Rep Council at Rep Council's April meeting, so that you have a whole month to look at it and review it in case that there are amendments or changes that you would like to make on it at the May meeting, so that we can pass next year's budget at the May Rep Council. So look forward to, you should be getting the budget in April to vote on it in May, so that you can be prepared. And I will provide you with basically the rules of engagement, how to amend the budget at that time in April. Any questions, concerns? Email me. It's on the report.
All right, thank you. Upcoming events, Read Across America. Ray, is there an update on those dates?
Not at this time.
Okay, it'll be in the Newsette?
As soon as we have detailed information, we'll be distributing that.
Okay, thank you very much. Where did Jamal and Brian go?
There's Jamal.
There's Jamal. I'm sorry, wait a minute. spent all this money on these glasses. Ooh, now I see them. Okay. Jamal, you ready?
Let me get my.
Okay, I'm gonna keep on moving. The GR committee will be meeting, next Wednesday night. Christy Lynch, anything you wanna add?
And, for the GR committee, just adding that we are fully, Government Relations Committee, fully engaged in supporting, trying to get all of our teachers to support March 11th. That's where a big push is, because it's extremely important for teachers as educators to understand their role in this process. So while we're getting a bit of apathy here and there, those of us that are in the room, it's for us to, okay, good. So it's up to us to encourage and motivate our colleagues as educators to step up. How can we teach children to advocate for themselves if we don't advocate for ourselves? Right? So that's what we need to do. And government relations, I've already interacted with some of the politicians that have been assigned to me as the liaison, just to keep that connection open. We want to stay connected because I don't know about you, but I want my 4 steps. I'm pleasantly, you know, the group that we have in now on the board, I have very positive feelings for, but I also want them to understand that we want our money. Because that's what I'm hearing from other teachers, and that's what I'm feeling. So just to encourage everyone, March 11th, show up. Show up. Because if you don't show up, you don't have anyone else to blame but yourself. Thank you.
Good. Well, round of applause. Absolutely. She does an excellent job as the chair of the GR committee. Again, my
Do you have
name
any new building reps in the room? First time coming to a meeting, brand new building rep who's never been to a meeting before. Okay, I just want to check.
Okay. There's one in the back.
All right, thank you. I just want to make sure. And see me after the meeting, please.
We can bring you up to speed. Thank you.
Great. Again, Jamal Miller, UNICEF Director. First, I'd like to thank all of you who are doing an excellent job in doing the 10-minute meetings and also getting those sheets in. We are getting sheets every day from you all, sign-in sheets every day from you all, so we ask you to continue to do that. And if you've done a 10-minute meeting, maybe earlier in the month, and there's time in the next week and a half to do another one, do it again. Just go in there and remind people, hey, if you haven't signed up, to do so. There is still time to sign up, and as Christy Lynch said, that we still need people to come out. All right, so we are still recruiting people, so please go back to your schools and press in. We have T-shirts that we're going to be distributing to folks as well, so we're going to be calling you and contacting you to get those T-shirts to those members who have already signed up, so you're going to get that contact in a few days. The other thing that I want to bring to your attention is, yes, President Dudley is modeling the T-shirt there. Absolutely. And some of you have got the T-shirt already. And we have an opportunity to wear a T-shirt between now and next Wednesday or next Thursday. Do so. I believe Thursday is Red for Ed Day. That's going to build the momentum in your school. We are 2 weeks away from the rally right now, and this is the 2 weeks where the energy is going to be heightened, and we want to take advantage of that. The last thing that I want to bring to your attention is that because we're going to have a lot of buses that are going to come from Prince George's County, we need more bus captains. So, if you did not sign one of these things that say that you're going to be a bus captain, I'm going to put some of these around on the table. Please fill this out. We're going to be in contact with you before the week is out.
Hold on, Jamal.
Who wants to be a bus captain? A bus captain, a bus captain, make sure that everybody gets on the bus, and that we don't leave anybody in Annapolis. It helps to pass out the T-shirts.
They better get on that bus.
That's what a bus captain will do.
Yes. Yes.
And if you sign up to be a bus captain tonight, we're going to put all the names of bus captains in a hat,
and somebody's gonna get a $50 gift card, courtesy of, but you gotta do it now. If you sign up and you win, you don't do it, I'm coming looking for my $50 back. Just so you know, the gentleman that I was talking to that was sitting over there with the bag, that's Maurice Williams from the Educational Systems Employee Credit Union. As you know, they are building a new credit union branch right here next to PGCEA, just down the street. So they want to be our good friends, and I'm happy to have them. So they're going to be helping us out with refreshments at some of our rep councils. And Maurice gave me a $50 gift card to give away to somebody, and I think the best way for me to give that away is to one of the people who have signed up to be a bus captain. All right? That seems fair to me?
And the last thing I would like to say is, when you do the 10-minute meetings at your school, or if you're walking around and getting members to sign up with the sheets, don't wait. Take a picture, send it to your UNICEF directors, okay? Because we want to get that, we want to capture that information as quickly as possible, even if it's 1 or 2 names. Take a picture of it, scan it, and get it to us. Because we have to hand enter in that information and then communicate back with that member so that we can get them on the bus that they need to get on, etc., so they can choose a bus location, okay? So again, we greatly appreciate all of your efforts. We need to keep pushing this last 2 weeks, and we are absolutely poised to make history in Annapolis. Thank you very much.
So we have buses that are going to be leaving from the northern area, the central area, the southern area. You guys have a list of all the buses where they're going to leave from? But I will tell you this. If your school is not on that list and you have 50 people signed up for your school, you need to send that list to Jamal as soon as possible. We can send a bus to one particular school if that school has 50 more people. The reason being is funding. MSEA will fund a certain amount of buses, a bus if there's a certain amount of people on it. So we have to have at least 40 people on the bus. So I'm not sending a bus for 20 people because then then PGCEA's got to pay for it. Make sense? If you have 50 people, we'll send a bus. You can ask some questions. Your name and where you're from?
Hello, Delisha at Owusi Port Towns Elementary. I have a really quick question. So I know I've signed up probably, 5 times for this rally, right? And I have not seen an email yet for where to sign up for which bus to where I want to leave from. How does that work?
You will be receiving an email within the next couple of days. Now, if there's a site specific that you want to catch the bus at, which is probably Bladensburg.
No, I live in Fort Washington, so I
Okay.
would prefer to catch the bus here. Can y'all put my name down for?
Okay, all right. I did say that at the meeting today that, because we had a board meeting, I did request that there be at least one bus leaving from PGCEA.
Okay.
So that will happen because I want to get on the bus somewhere. Okay. All right, any question, microphone 1.
Good evening, Malika Sam, Sandy Massey Academy. I have a question. How can teachers, educators get their kids to accompany them? You're allowed to do that?
Your personal children? Your personal children can come with you.
So they sign up individually too, or just for?
Yes, your personal children can come with you. Your personal children.
Yes.
Can't bring other people.
So to answer that question, can come to the rally. Now, this is the thing that we need, though. However, we need for each of the we need a name. Each one of your children need to sign up because we need to know how many seats. Okay. You show up with 3 other bodies, and somebody else shows up, and then somebody else shows up. Next thing you know, we have a bus that we didn't have accounted for. So we need to have a sign-in for each person who is going to come. So if you have 2 children that you want to bring, you need to fill in for you and for them, each child, on the website or on the sheet to sign this sheet or something like that, okay? As long as you are the guardian of those children, you know, then they are your children, and we're not going to tell you that you cannot bring your children. Fair enough? Okay.
Microphone one, microphone two. Over here. Which one? Oh, microphone one, microphone two. I'm sorry, microphone one.
I just have a quick question.
Your name and which school you're from?
And I'm from Kenmore ECC. And right behind us, Kimberly Maltby. And right behind us is Kenmore Middle. Is the rep from Kenmore Middle here?
No, but I know who they are. Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to see, like, otherwise I'll go over there and see if we can get, because we're literally right next to each other, so I was trying to get a bus to go from there, so.
Okay, that's a great idea. We had a conversation about that too, about how should we sit people in the meeting today? Should we sit you by groups? But if you're near another school and you want to call the building rep at that school, you can contact them. You can contact the school and just ask who's the building rep and see if, because Maha Fudley's a principal over there, and I know she's been very supportive. I want to say it is, I can see her face too, but we can get you that information. Thank you. All right. Microphone two. Sure.
So, I just wanted to add, I actually did get my confirmation email a couple of days ago, and they do ask how many people you're bringing with you when you get your confirmation email. They don't want their names and all of that, but if you're bringing 4 or more, they'll have their shares.
Okay. Thank you, Sharon.
I just want to piggyback on what,
Talk right into the mic.
I want to piggyback on what the young lady was saying about the schools. I think it would be a good idea if we could work together in our clusters with the schools that are immediately around you. So if the building reps can get that information, like I know which elementary schools are near me, but in order for us to work more effectively in recruiting and getting people together to get those buses out, I think it would be good if the building reps connected with one another to organize.
Okay, so I think this is a great idea. I really do. And I'm just wondering how I can facilitate it in 24 hours.
Okay.
Because the implications behind this are great, because if I say, yes, we're gonna do that, then I've gotta find somebody on staff to do that.
Well, I tell you what, let's talk about it after the meeting. About
Okay.
Trying to streamline it to make it work, because I don't mind looking at, the schools and putting those lists together to allow people to connect, because the connection is so important.
Okay, so let's do this. After the meeting, because you are the chair of the GR committee, right?
Right.
I'm gonna ask you to speak with Jamal, who is the GR liaison, and come up with a plan, and we can get it out to people. But I just, we're gonna have to carry that. Everybody got a great idea, but somebody's gotta do the work, that's all I'm saying, okay? Who is Veronica Monroe? Is that you? Veronica Monroe. Come here. I said, would somebody please go like our Facebook? And I was waiting for somebody to like our Facebook here in the meeting. And because you did what I asked you to do, you never know who's paying attention, you did a nice spinny Wonder Woman watch. Yeah, that's all right. All right? I'm always watching. I'm a good teacher. All right, so this is the schedule for the march. The buses will arrive and be picking people up between 4 and 4:15. If you arrive after 4:30, you will be watching smoke. Everybody understand that? Because we have to get all the way to Annapolis in traffic on time. And if you are late, then you might as well just drive your little self right to Annapolis to the Navy parking lot and hope that you can find a spot. Because there's going to be buses coming from all over. Now, let me just say something.
so they would give us an early dismissal so that all the schools could be there. So don't come to me talking about Teresa, I missed the bus, y'all left me. I'm gonna say, I don't know. 5:30, the buses are scheduled to arrive. We're gonna begin lining up. Now this Saturday, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, we're gonna be here all weekend party. Woo-woo. Like it's 1999. We're gonna be doing our art bill. Where is somebody gonna talk about the art bill?
Yep, sign up, I got the sheet.
Michelle Clark has a sign-up sheet. We ordered all of these art supplies to make art and signs. Zena, tell them all about it.
So basically, the art bill, we had a competition for art signs and parachutes and posters, and the schools that were participated, they sent in their submissions, and then we voted on them, and then what we're gonna do is bring it to life here. We're gonna have big parachutes, posters, everyone's gonna be coloring, painting, just a lot of fun activities for the whole entire weekend. Bring your family, bring the kids, we'll have music, we'll have food. So we're really trying to push this thing really hard because our students matter. And we have to really show up and show out. So Friday night, I'll be here Saturday and Sunday. Bring the kids, bring your friends, bring the community, bring your aunt, bring your grandmother, whatever. If they can't make it to Annapolis, the art bill is very important because we're here. So what if you can't color or if you can't paint? That's okay. You can still be in the room giving support. Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna have a DJ on Saturday, and it's gonna be a fun event. All ages are welcome, and everybody should have got a copy of the flyer at the door, did you? Okay, so if you're in a school that has an art department, gee, go see your art teacher, see if they wanna come. Do you know a teacher who just likes to paint and do art? Bring everybody, okay?
And community service hours.
And the students can get community service hours. All right. Moving right along. I did say that I had some good news for you. And now I want to move to Gary. Everybody give Gary a hand. Because Gary, I want everybody to say, yay Gary, yay Gary, and yay Vanessa. She's not here, but she was on the catalyst for this. Go ahead, knock them out of the park.
All right, thank you, Madam President. Gary Brennan, UNICEF Director. I do have the great fortune of giving the good news that we did win our class action grievance. Recess and lunch duty. PGCA's position from the very beginning of this grievance was that the contract language was clear and simple. You need to bring this message back to your members because I'm getting tired of answering the question on the phone. It says all Unit 1 members, and our position was that meant elementary, early childhood, elementary, middle school, and high school. It meant every Unit 1 position, classroom teacher, school counselor, speech language pathologist, media specialist, specials teachers. Doesn't matter what your position is. If you're a Unit 1 member, the language covered you. And that the language, we were going from the beginning of this school year. So any lunch duty from the very first day of school until the student last day is to be paid. Those were our positions, and we won on every single one of those positions. Now, here's the important thing as the leaders in your building. It is incumbent upon the folks that are doing this duty that they take ownership and they fill out the proper paperwork to get paid. That was printed in the Newsette that went out with the due dates. You go to your timekeeper. The MSEA attorney, Damon Felton, if you see him, give him a thank you. He was a great help too. And Damon said very clearly to them, you've got to make sure that we have a set timeline for this. and that you, the school system, explain to principals and timekeepers. It's not your job to explain to them. PGCPS is sending out, and I think the communication went out today, to the principals and the timekeepers. Your timekeeper is not to make their judgment, okay? Your principal is not to say, oh, your school counselor doesn't include you. All that has been decided by their bosses. So you're to fill out the form that you can click on from the Newsette. You fill it out for every day that you serve this duty from the first day of this school year, and you bring them, how many people have been doing it all along? Okay. Some timekeepers have been turning that in. They already have. They've hired some extra staff to help them process all this. But you just want to check and make sure. Okay? But you have to get in all the hours that you did through February 1st. They have to be in so your timekeeper can turn it around by March 8th. That's not the date you get it in. That's the date your timekeeper has to put it all together and send it to the school system. So my advice to you is for the first disbursement, ASAP. Don't screw around, okay? You got to get that in. Tell that to the folks in your building, because your timekeeper is going to need a little bit of time. This is more work for them. Be nice to them. This is more work for them. Give them some time, because they've got to get it into payroll. And then payroll is going to turn all that around, and the first disbursement for everything through February 1st will be in the March 29th paycheck. My advice is everything since February, starting February 2nd, file that as you go. You don't need to wait. There's no reason to wait. File it as you go. Your timekeeper can turn it in, and then that second disbursement will come to you on July 12th. This is a big deal, okay? And I need to thank all the reps who contacted myself and the other UNISERV directors with questions, made sure the folks in their building knew. We felt very supported that this grievance was important to the membership, and it was important that we hold this school system to the promises they make in our contract. So thanks to all of you guys for getting the information out, but now you got to finish it, close the circle, communicate to the folks in their building what their responsibility is. If they don't turn in the paperwork, they won't get paid. The school system's not going to go looking for you. You got to let them know you've done this work and you deserve the pay. So, yes, sir. I will, Madam President, you want to know if they could get the letter the letter that was sent to the principals, the same communication that we gave, that will be shared. You all will be getting a letter as well. The letter's going out to the members too. This week.
It should have went out today.
The
joint letter was supposed to go out today by the close of business. Did it not go out? Excuse me, hold on.
Yeah, it'll go to
wait a
PGCPS.
minute, hold on. Stop. I'm too ADHD to have 100 people yelling at me at the same time. Okay? Number one, the goal was for the school system to send out a joint letter announcing the settlement and what the parameters were today. What you received in the Newsette was what our tentative agreement was. The full agreement is basically the letter that you got with a few little legalese and legalize put in it. However, I see you shaking your head, Mr. Duke. I'm going to tell you this. Fill out the forms. Give them to your bookkeepers by March the 7th. The 8th is when they have to turn in all of the payroll. If you have been keeping notes, because I have been telling everybody, keep copious notes in your journal so that you have all the documentation that you need. And by March the 7th to make the 8th payroll, it's not the end of the world. However, you won't see that money until July. So my suggestion to you is to get it in as soon as possible, as if your money depends on it, because it does.
And Teresa, can I just say one last thing about the letter? The letter is finished. Ray was involved, Jennifer, myself, your president, and the attorney. That letter has been agreed upon, it has been signed, and it is going out. We're sad to hear it didn't go out today, but I'm sure your president will look into that tomorrow.
It went to your PGCPS email, your school email. If you didn't get it today, they might be dropping it in the morning. We really are pushing this time frame here to make this happen. So the reality is everybody's gonna get paid. I wanna make that clear. Try to get your paperwork in. You've got a week and a half to get it together for everything from the beginning of the school year until February the 1st. There is a specific form that you need to use. Now, I know somebody's gonna call me up and say, but the form says teachers. It says Unit 1 members. Use that form. Don't worry about whether it says teachers or not if you're a school guidance counselor. Okay? Fill out the form so you can get your $15 an hour.
And through Teresa and Jennifer, they'll work on that. Don't wait till the letter comes. It's a done deal. We're done. Get it in. Don't wait. You'll get the letter. They'll work on that, but I would.
Case is still before the arbitrator. So what does that mean? That means that even though we have kind of settled.
Thank you.
Yes. And you can't just give them a piece of paper torn out of the book. It's got to be on the form. I did. The form does say teacher only, but it doesn't. That's it right there. Let me see that. This is the form. It says time tracking for payment for Unit 1 members. Then it says teachers in parentheses. Ignore where it says teachers. It should just say Unit 1 members. But this is one of the reasons why we caught them on it, because they even had a form on how to do it. So they knew they should have been paid. Okay? All right, excuse me for a second. Give her one of those blank copies and she'll make copies. We'll make one copy for each of you, okay? Make 110 copies. All right? No, we're not going back. Shut up. I'm sorry. Might be me tonight. All right.
Gary Flynn, Mount Rainier. I need to make sure that memo says that timekeepers are to take retroactive pay. My timekeeper will not take things by close of business on Friday for the same week at this point. If it's not in by 1, she won't take.
So, Shara, this is not a pay issue.
Right.
This is a arbitration settlement issue. However, whatever those deadlines are for your building, it might be a good idea for you to find out what they are, because if you turn it in, if it gets turned in after March the 8th, or anything from July to February, you will have to wait. Okay? But you can turn it in.
She will be taking September and October before we started keeping these records, because the memo will say so.
Yes.
Yes. Say it again. Kim. Okay.
Do the forms have to be typed?
No.
We're told to put extra stuff on there, so we're being told the forms have to be typed. Next to each one, you put an R or L, whether it was recess or lunch, and the form already indicates what it does.
Okay, so.
We're made to do extra stuff.
No, I recognize that. That was not part of the stupidity agreement. And here's what I'm gonna tell you. Print them neatly like a professional. If it's printed and you give it to someone, and it's neat and it's legible, and they give you a hard time about it, can you take a picture of it and send it to me so I can go over there? In front of your school, with my pom-poms, and say, we want agreement, we want agreement.
That's all I get to know.
And Teresa, if I could follow up, I don't have pom-poms, but what you're turning in isn't what goes to payroll. you have to do it so that your timekeeper can read it, because they have to take that information and put it on a different form that goes to payroll. So they can try to make you jump through all these hoops. The point is, you need to fill out what's on that form neatly so your timekeeper can read it, and then they need to put that into the other form by March 8th. That's why I'm saying, don't wait till March 8th to get this in, because they need time to transcribe it onto the second document.
Good advice.
This form does not say print. Type, it doesn't say type. So you print it neatly.
Amanda Metzel, Parkdale High School. I am probably regretting asking this question, but I am going to ask it because I know it's the question I'm going to get asked. We are assigned lunch duty as our hall duty, and it's within our 45 minutes that contractually we don't get, because our planning periods are at 90 minutes long. So they assign lunch duty or hall duty during that other 45 minutes. G?
Do lunch or recess duty. Doesn't matter when you do it, how you do it. If you are assigned to be in the lunchroom with students, that is covered under this agreement.
That is exactly what I wanted to hear, and I want to repeat what Charles said because not everybody here heard it. When you fill out the form, make sure you keep a copy for yourself. Best way, use the copier, scan it, and email it to them, because then you have documentation that they received it.
Yeah, or you can take a picture of it and send it. It's exactly the same as you scan it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is big. This is a win.
I want to thank the NECC for all of their hard work on the elections. Give them a hand. Felicia, do you have something from membership?
Hi, Delisha again, Fort Towns Elementary. Really quickly, just to piggyback on something that Christy said, the membership and organization committee have been going out to different schools, and our push when we went out last month, the end of last month, was the March 11th rally. We need people. Membership committee meets the second Monday of every month from 4:30 to 6:30. And I am very diligent, along with Vanessa or Brian, to get you out in about an hour. But our meeting time is 4:30 to 6:30. But we really need more members to be a part of that committee, because of the fact that we do want to get out into the schools every month. And we want to hear what our members are saying, but we also want to be able to put out different announcements, different things that we are engaged in, allowing the members to know. Because even though the news that goes out, even though email after email after email goes out, there's nothing like face-to-face contact. So please, 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 if you can go back to your buildings and ask if anybody is interested in becoming a part of the membership and organization committee, to email Brian O'Neill or Vanessa Bliss, and they have a little application process, unfortunately. But yes, please go back to your buildings with that information.
How many of you would like to have a workshop at your school on financial literacy for educators? How many of you would like to have a bullying-free, it's up to me, workshop at your school? How many of you would like to have a workshop on the new ESSA requirements that are going on in the schools? Okay, you see all those hands go up? That's what membership means. Those are the issues that we're dealing with, and we want to make sure that you have the tools that you have to get through that. We did the art thing. I got, we did have, Marguerite here. We had our Fit Fun Fitness at Isaac Bourdin on Saturday. How many of you got down there? Okay. I heard it was really well, I was really well attended. And
they got some folks to sign up for the march down there. Philomena, where are you? Philomena is working with our Sparks program. If you have somebody who's interested and wants to know what PGCEA is, or maybe you want to know more about what PGCEA is, Philomena and Marilyn Quo are our Sparks coordinators. And Sparks is a program to help you learn about PGCEA. And in October, we're going to be taking some Sparks who are interested in learning more about PGCEA to convention. So that's one of the reasons why I'm really fighting for what date? October the 18th, okay? Portia Deal. Yes. You have a quick report? Yes, ma'am. Give her a hand. She's working on our special education committee. Portia is meeting with Dr. Mason.
Yes.
Go ahead, Portia.
Portia Deal, Parkdale High School.
Come right into that microphone.
Got it?
Yes.
Okay. Portia Deal, Parkdale High School Special Education Committee Chair. First of all, we meet the third Tuesday of every month from 4:45 to 6:30. Sometimes we slip into quarter of, but we definitely have to be out by 7. We have a lot of things to cover, and that's why sometimes we run over time. We have a special request for the reps to take back to their buildings. We're looking for information from special educators on the amount of time it takes for them to do administrative work. We want to know your caseload. We would like to know, and remember when you're doing when you have them do the calculations, everyone of your students or the students that you may be caseload on your caseload might have a different number, so don't do a blanket number. Be very specific in the numbers. If it's 2 hours to do an IEP, put 2 hours, 2 hours and 5 minutes, 2 hours and 5 minutes. Because what we're taking to PGCPS with Dr. Mason and Jamal Bowman is across the county, special educators are overworked, understaffed. And we're doing, and some of us are doing general ed work, like I teach 3 classes, and I also have my collaborative planning, my, all the things about Medicaid. I mean, it's like a list. And so we would like to narrow that list or give us more people. So when your people are in your building, special educators or providers, service providers, when you receive the survey, please don't delete it, because you're deleting your opportunity to cut back on some of the stress that you're having. And I know all of us are under stress. This is getting near the end of the year. So we're just asking you to do the survey. You may not want to do the survey, do it anyway. Okay.
So I don't think you explained that there is a survey that's going out.
I did. I thought I said.
Did you? No, you didn't.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You thought it.
Okay. There's a survey that's going to be going out, and it'll go out this week, and the due date for return is March the 8th. Okay, so when you receive it, return it by March the 8th. If you do not receive it, what you need to do is contact Portia.deal at PGC, I'm sorry, wrong one. PDEAL 6345 at Gmail. Okay. P-deal. That's P as in Paul, D, David, E, Alpha, A, Alpha, and L. 6345 at Gmail. If you don't receive the survey.
And we'll put that in the newsette, that the
Yes.
survey's going out. I think it was in the survey was it in the newsette this week?
No, we plan to go out this week.
No, but what I'm saying is, did the newsette, it's not in the newsette this week, okay. I thought I saw it, okay.
Okay, we just did it at our meeting, and we wanted the team wanted me to make the announcement
so that we can reach everyone's ears audibly.
Okay.
And then they see it in writing, and maybe with those two, that they'll click and they'll say, okay, we'll take it serious.
Okay.
So, and it is serious.
Is it coming from, PGCEA, not from
Yes.
PGCPS? This is
No.
our document.
No.
Okay, did you have another question, my man in the radio shack?
Personal email, right? Not the PGCPS.
No, personal email. Going out with personal email. PGCEA is gracious enough to send it out for us.
Okay, microphone one, question.
Question, Sharon Chandler Thomas, Greenville Middle School. I have 3 special educators in my building who are co-teachers in classrooms with regular teachers who are out on extended leave. And those teachers are being expected to carry the load of their class, their missing teachers, as well as their regular special ed duties, and they're up in arms about that, to say the least. So,
Mr. Otis?
Yes, ma'am.
That's gonna be your first case. Okay, I just wanna let you know, we are working on that. Mr. Otis is the grievance committee, and so that's the first one I wanna give to them.
okay.
I wanted to give one that we could really work through. And, so Greenbelt's gonna be one of the schools. I'm gonna talk to you, and don't leave the meeting, sir. I need to talk to you about that. Okay?
Okay.
Are you trying to get to a microphone? Or are you just standing there looking good?
Supporting, portion on that.
Oh, okay, you're supporting Portia. Okay, terrific.
So, again, when you receive the survey, complete the survey, just click, send it back to us, okay?
Got it.
We need the data because PGCPS, they hear us, but when they see it, it's like, it should make a difference because everybody's, focused on data. This is real data.
Okay, perfect. Portia, let's give her a hand, because I really know what she's doing. She's doing a great job. Tuition, I know, but I'm not. Tuition reimbursement, Keela Foster, is she here? Okay, so I just want to share some more good news, right? I'm getting ready to go another dance. Right? We're winning, people. We're getting some things done. Tuition reimbursement will be online. It will be online in March. Now, you don't need to go and stand in line. It's not going to change anything because the way that they're doing it, you will get documentation that you submitted your tuition reimbursement online. Now, is there going to be problems? Yes. It's something new. When you do something new, there's going to be problems. However, what I'm asking people to do is to follow the guidelines. They will be coming to you from the school system at your PGCPS email. As soon as I get the hard date as to when it's going to be ready in March, because they're working like crazy to get this done. I'm not going to go into my report real quick. That was my first part of my report. So I'm gonna dance again. Because I've heard from many of you, I want to transfer and go to another school. However, I can't see where the vacancies are. They have not historically posted internal vacancies for us. So now if you go into your Oracle and you go to iRecruit and you click on it, it will tell you where the internal vacancies are in PGCPS. It was a lot of work. Took 3 years to get that one. But the point is that what we want to keep track of is where are we really hemorrhaging and losing teachers. And now we have a way to document it. Some of the postings are generic right now. Some of the postings are generic because we do not have to officially resign from our positions until July 15th. So, what do you need to turn in by March the 15th? A transfer card, a transfer request. So you need to go into Oracle by March the 15th and put in a transfer request. We're gonna be watching those as well, because if everybody in the building wants to leave, then there's a problem. And I can tell you several schools already where people have already put in for a transfer and don't know where they're going, but they want to transfer and go somewhere. And I'll tell you what, our bargaining for the common good team, who's on the bargaining for the common good team in here? Stand up. You should all be standing up, because all of you can show up at any of those bargaining for the common good meetings. Our lead common good folks, Christy, Charles, I was burping, Charles, Tom Dukes, Yvonne, Michelle, Felix, Lazaro, we got a lot of people here bargaining for us, and they're sitting at the table. Miss Rossi, who won't stand up because she's shy.
I was up.
No, I miss you. You know what, Mark Naden's half blocked you. Okay. So, let me just say this, as your president. I need you. You know, I'm loud, I'm obnoxious sometimes. It's okay. Okay? But guess what? If I'm this loud and obnoxious, right? You can be a little bit loud and obnoxious. You can show up in hearings and testify. Because there is so much power in your personal narrative of what you have to say about special education, about the fact that you're in a co-taught class and your co-teacher's been out on leave and you have not been assigned a sub nor paid sub pay. Okay? That's where I'm trying to go. Okay? So, what I need you to do is, in the Newsette, every week, there's opportunities for you to sign up and show up, speak up, so we can what? Step up. All right? It's really important that you do that. And Jennifer could not be here tonight. Her daughter was sick, so she had to leave. But she gave me good directions on what to say. And she said the written report is in the back on the table from the executive director. Okay? So we have member petitions and comments that are supposed